Hey, everybody, and welcome to the RTX Guardian podcast, number 9? Yeah, number 9. So,
Mary Chris edition. I don't know.
This week we have special guests Chris and Mary, our head guardians, on, and they're here to answer some questions. But before we do that, let's introduce the entire cast. Chazzy?
I'm Chaz. I'm Chazzy Fizzle on the RT site.
Okay, Chris.
Cookie, man. The s'mores cookie is delicious.
Chris?
Good morning, Tucson! Wait, that's the wrong script. Sorry. What I meant to say was, ahoy the Guardians! Hey, this is Chris McDowell, a.k.a. Stern Army on the site, one of the co-head Guardians for RTX 2015, welcoming you to come in and hanging out with us this evening.
I wish we had an echo function on this as well. Jack?
Hi, I'm Jack DP on the site. That's about it.
Alrighty. Awesome. Mary?
How can I possibly follow up Chris's intro?
You can't.
Hey, this is Mary McDowell. I'm Sailor Tweak on the website. And I am the second half that also owns you. I'm also the other head guardian. And, yeah, I'm ready. Are you? Are you?
We're so ready.
Red?
I'm Big Red, and apparently I get bottom billing.
I'm just going in order. I'm just going over from left to right.
I'm One Tin Soldier on the Rooster Teeth site. I'm big, I'm loud, and I'm Canadian, and oftentimes I wear a kilt, sometimes without undergarments.
Every RTX. So.
You know what they say,
My
Red?
girlfriend.
Without a
Everyone's
good
like,
bottom, the rest of the tower could not stand.
Alright. And I am Jordan, also known as Ninja Spectre, and I am going to be your host for the evening. And let's go ahead. Mary, Chris, you actually asked to be on this podcast, so is there anything specific that you would like to talk about this evening?
Wagwan bosses.
Well, it all started when I was 5, and my mother wouldn't take me to circus as a child, and no, this isn't the kind of stuff we want.
No. Wrong script.
Tell us how you really feel. I think I've got my ink blot somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, anybody got an ink blot? Basically, we wanted to kind of make ourselves known, be a presence on another venue to remind folks that we're here. We are working on Guardian stuff like crazy people, and we're the ones that you want to talk to. You want to ask questions. We're the ones who have most of the answers. I would love to say that we have all of the answers, but we don't. But we have most of the answers. If it's anything Guardian related, we're the people you want to ask. You want to hear it from the source, and that is us.
Well, can I jump all over that like a spider monkey and ask the one obvious question?
What's that?
When are we going to hear what we're doing?
So, if you were reading...
So,
I don't read.
So, One Tin Soldier, unfortunately, will not be joining us at RTX 2015. We do have an opening now on the team. No, I'm kidding.
Time to pull from the wait list.
Sit back down.
Get back there. Come on, get back over here, Red. Come here.
My code doesn't go from to make
So, our goal is the end of May. And that's not set in stone, but the goal is the end of May. Hopefully by June. So,
Okay.
it's not... I know that some new folk are really chomping at the bit. Some people are a little panicky because we haven't assigned anything yet. Guys, we have lots of time. We have tons of time.
Yeah, I do want to point out that in some of the other events that Mary and I work, it's not at all uncommon for people to not have assignments until the week before the show. Emerald City Comic Con, for example, is usually between 2 weeks and 1 week out before most of our team, and that's a team of upwards of 800 people sometimes, get their assignments so they know which department they're going to be working in. So it's really not that bad that we are, what, 3 months away and you guys don't have those assignments yet.
We're 90-something days away, guys. Pretty magical.
Yes, God. It's
But
getting closer and closer.
But it is, we have plenty of time. I promise. Chris and I promise. Just trust us. We got this.
Yeah. Well, we got to think. People also have to think this was. Yeah, but also people have to realize it's a month later this year, so.
Yeah.
Like, we got. What was it last year that when we got it? Was like early May or something like that? That we
It was
got
early May. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was early May because Barbara and I, we were finalizing it together in person in Austin, and I was in Austin at the end of April last year. So yeah, it was at the beginning of May. So really, we're on schedule. Just keep in mind that we got a lot of new stuff happening this year.
Yep.
So
and we've got a lot more Guardians.
We have that to plan for. So there are some more factors, but we are working on it. Super proud.
Yeah, and there's a lot more Guardians this year, so another, 150? If 150? If
About 100 more. And that's not counting attrition. We do have a wait list of about 70 people. So as one person has to drop out of Guardians for whatever the case, I mean, it's always job or family or other obligations, which is fine. That's life happens. It's totally fine. But we do have the moment somebody has to call in and say, sorry, I can't make it, then I head to the wait list and I grab the next person.
Okay.
How many waitlist people have you taken out, I guess, and made them full time?
Well, I think I offered 12 last week.
Oh, last week.
And I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I can't remember how many accepted. I think all but 3 accepted. So,
okay.
I mean, the goal is to keep ourselves at as close to 500 as possible. We are in no trouble if we have less than 500. We are absolutely in no trouble if we have less than 500. But I want to try and keep that number as close to 500 as possible.
Okay.
Know that when I say I do actually mean we.
The royal.
See that gentleman back there, right there? Yeah, him. Yeah. I really do mean we. And he'll step up and correct me. Once he's in it.
One way or another.
That's what the rings are for, right?
Right.
So,
That's what it says inside the band.
yeah.
Yes.
Part of our vows. I will tell you when you are wrong. Next year. And it says that on his band too. So.
No, it doesn't. It only says it on hers.
So what happens to people who, can't make it, and then you get a wait list Guardians to fill in their spot, but then they, something changes and they can make it? What happens then?
Then they get back in.
Okay.
No biggie. I mean,
Right.
it would be horrible if they're like, if something happens, they're like, I'm sorry, you know what, the responsible thing is for me to drop. It doesn't look like it's in the cards. No biggie, no harm, no foul. Bring in a waitlist person, and the original person comes back and says, oh, I can still do it. And be like, that's fine. You're back in. We haven't had that happen, but I mean, why wouldn't we let them back in, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Already been accepted.
Do they buy extra T-shirts, for that kind of situation?
They're usually extras, don't you remember?
Yeah, it's pretty normal to have any of the teacher order like that to be padded a little bit.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
honestly, there's always room for one more person, right?
Well, I won't say always.
There's almost always room for one more person.
Almost always.
Almost.
I'm being generous here.
But also, with dealing with in case of people haven't been paying attention to the regular announcements, we should remind people that hotel deals are up now. Or was it the Marriott?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
We're both the Marriott and the Hilton.
Okay, so if you haven't gotten your hotel room, get them now while they're still out, because they also release it to the public as well. So it's not just Guardians right now, but it's so get them now before like the good hotel. Like these are like close, like next to the convention center. So if you want good hotel deals, go ahead and get them now before.
Not only are they close, but they are also part of the RTX venue. So you are sleeping right above some of the action.
Yeah, exactly.
They are going to be a little more expensive than other places. They are the only two hotel deals. But there is nothing wrong at staying at the Radisson or
the Firehouse.
Or the Firehouse or any of that stuff. That's fine. But the reason why the JW Marriott and the Hilton are the ones that have the you're gonna come over here and get all up in the kitchen, aren't you?
It wasn't enough, but he was just on my shoulder.
Yeah, the hotel deals are there because these are the places where most of the action is going to be. Seriously, Thor?
Camera horror.
Seriously.
Can I just make a note about rooming and stuff like that? About like rooming, like don't be afraid to rent out a loft with other people. I've had the best experience every single year that I've done it, which has now been, this will be my third year doing it with people, and it's been people that I don't know, or there's people that are non-Guardians, and it's really inexpensive, especially in August now. They go as low as like $200 for a full week, and it includes almost like a house, but it's like a 2-story loft in downtown.
Not 200 for a full week, but 200 per day. And so, if you, let's just say this.
Well, if you're splitting it between like a good number of people, it's fairly cheap.
Yeah. Because right now, Chazzy Jack and I are having a loft, and we are sharing it with a bunch of people, and I think it goes around.
It's like 160. It's 167 for each of us for a full week from Tuesday to Tuesday.
Which is not bad.
Which is fantastic, because I've been seeing in the Guardian like thread for room shares that people are like $800 for a week, and I'm like, oh my god, like where are you staying? Like the richest place on earth? Like that's just crazy. I don't think anybody should be paying $800.
Absolutely not.
Like and a lot of people. I'm sorry, say again.
I just want to mention before we go completely past it that Shannon says she likes doing it with a lot of people she doesn't know. Sorry.
Phrasing.
And cue the crickets.
Okay, getting past that. But
Aaron wasn't here for the sound effects.
But just looking in the share room, like there's a lot of people who have the same days or like a place and they can't fill in the last 2 spots, or a person who's a 1 who needs to fill in 2 more spots. Like why don't you contact each other? So you might be able to find something cheaper together, and it's okay if you don't know the person personally. It's okay. You're going to be working together. You're going to see each other a lot. So why not make it a fun party house almost?
And you might make a great lifelong friend out of the deal.
Exactly, and I did that. Like I think I've done that 3 times now. And Doobie, Andrew, who I lofted last year, who I just knew from his hair, is an awesome roommate, and he's rooming with us again this year. And just do it. Even with non-Guardians, check out the attendees room share thread that Dan made, and see if they have something that, or they're maybe sharing like the same hotel, and you guys can just split it even cheaper than that.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to talk to other people. I know it's hard because we're all on the internet.
No, it goes along with what we've been saying whenever we've been doing the little advice column parts of the podcast. Every single time we do it, somebody says, "Make sure you talk to people. Make sure you meet people." And it's just another great way to meet people. Like, hey, you need someone to split a room with? Sure.
Yep.
I know it's hard.
I know it's sometimes like a little bit.
I know it's hard. I mean, because people in real life, they tend to smell rather than the flowery scent of the internet. But it really is a great way to meet people, and it's also another way of connecting with the community.
Yeah, and there's a little percentage of chance that there might be one person that you loft with, and you may or may not see that person ever again. But the other 9 people that you shared the place with are good people.
What are you trying to say, Chaz?
I think she's plotting a murder.
Ah, okay. That's what I got too.
Never
Jack,
see them again.
That's what.
Jack, keep an eye under your pillow during RTX this year.
Oh my god, we have to do another pillow talk.
Yes, we will.
Oh, that has to be a thing.
Oh, Mary, Marcy, and I were talking about doing like a ladies like book club and doing like ladies' night talk, and we gossip.
I'll bring the nail polish and the vodka.
We're gonna have
Don't worry,
wine
she
and be like,
has lots of
oh, yes.
I just want to take this time to say hi to everyone that's in the chat.
Yes.
Hi, Marcy and Jen.
Lori,
and
Jen,
Lori
and Garth.
and Garth. Yeah. Hi.
And Lori said in the Q&A, said, they seem to have extra shirts last year because Blaine hulked one right off himself last year. So
So there are always extras. That's another thing because I actually got a message about this today. I don't know when Barbara's gonna order the shirts. So if you think that you need to change your shirt size, let me know. This is not an invitation to remind me what you need. Please. There are 500 of you, and I honestly don't care. No, but if you think that, if you're like, you know what, I remember putting on a large and I either lost or gained weight, no problem. Let me know ASAP so I can change that on the data sheet. But that's got to be soon because I really don't know when the orders of those go out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Do
And
you have
there's
a color
no
yet?
judging. I'm telling you, there's no judging if you need to switch shirt sizes because God knows I need a larger one than I anticipated. So.
yeah, I might actually end up needing a smaller size because of doing I ran the marathon and then I'm doing Fit for RTX this year, so I might actually
Good on
need a
you, bro.
smaller size.
Mhm.
Right on.
Yay!
Mary's was
Yeah.
scrapped.
Which, by the way, speaking of Fit for RTX, I'm glad that there are a lot of people getting into that this year. There's a bunch of people that are seeing on either Twitter or the RT site that are actually getting into it. So good on them and good on everybody. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know it's not easy. I don't have the best kind of willpower. But way to go, guys. I mean, that's Fit for RTX is awesome. I'm glad that it hasn't been made into a contest. It's been made into more of a
initiative.
Community activity.
yeah. We're gonna cheer everybody on. You know, this is what I'm doing. Maybe it'll work for you. Who knows? But this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it can go for anyone. It's not just for attendees. It can be for guardians, vice versa.
Yeah.
Because God knows you are going to get an awful big workout come that weekend.
Yeah. I think it's like you walk at least a total of like maybe depending on how active you are. Like for me, I think I walked like around 15, 20 miles last year.
Yeah, that's
For
about what I
everyone who's kept
All right.
a DS in their pocket, I should ask
my
for an upper count.
Yeah.
That should be a
Make
do.
sure-
requirement.
Street passes. So many.
It should be a requirement for
It
guardians.
should be a requirement to carry a 3DS around.
Well, we can make a private message board on the DS where, I mean,
And we're always looking for more opportunities to improve communication among the team.
right?
Yeah?
Let's see.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, and Marcy says she's at the Marriott. So yeah, Marcy got on the hotel deals. So she's by the Champs. So, or AKA the spot that we always end up
the
going
only
to.
place we ever go for
Yeah.
lunch.
It's the convention lunch place, which I keep telling people stop going here. Like, go somewhere else. Like, there's 10 other thousands of restaurants down here.
But Champs is so
Champs.
good.
It's really good. It's really good. But we went there. We went there like every time the first year. So the second year we came back and we're like, all right, we get one time at Champs. We gotta go elsewhere. And we burned that one time on the first day, and then we're like, we're just gonna come here for lunch every day, aren't we? It's like,
God.
And Marcy says I would love to have 2 shirts since we're working 4 days for sure. But varsity, you could also just stick with the one, and then, we do tend to have like some people like to go and gather up the shirts and then watch them as well.
We
Like
have a watching machine down the hall from our loft.
Yeah,
Some
so
hotels
So,
offer
buy a
watching
bunch of
machines.
Guardians, go to that one washer.
It was
Yes.
so
That is
incredible
loft.
how many Guardians got together and they said, "Hey, by the way, I'm local. Give me your shirt. I'll go and watch it."
Yeah.
I thought that was absolutely incredible. I don't have any specs yet on how many shirts we get, but always bank on one.
Yeah.
Um, that's just the general rule. Just bank on one.
yeah.
Invest in some Under Armour, not just because you only have one shirt, but because it's usually super more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain America wears Under Armour, so you should too. I mean, come on.
And so does Tony Stark.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Under Armour.
So does the Vision.
Not really. Don't say
Let's
that.
let's not spoil anything. Sorry.
This podcast brought to you by Stark Enterprises.
This podcast brought to you by Tony Stark's House of Ribs.
All right, so let's take a detour into the slightly more quizzical realm, guys. You guys are the head guardians. You've talked a little bit about what's going on, but what's been on your plate lately? What's been keeping you guys busy?
Well,
Okay,
the
Guardian.
big project that we've been working on lately is trying to get all of the team leads identified, contacted, and confirmed for this year.
Mhm.
So we're most of the way through that process. We've got a couple outstanding that haven't confirmed yet there's a couple that we're still trying to nail down. But
Answer your effing emails, people.
Check your spam folders.
so once that process is complete, then we go into the next planning phase where we get the team leads involved with the information that we have so far and say, okay, these are the choke points we expect. Let's kind of plot through some things. Where do we think we're going to have problems? Let's try to anticipate stuff. So we'll have a couple of planning meetings with the team leads sometime in May or early June. And then concurrent to those planning sessions, we are assigning individuals onto the teams. We, of course, have to wait till we have team leads assigned for that so that we can get feedback on what the different teams are going to need and be able to formulate the numbers.
Okay.
So we can't all be PAs.
Correct.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that.
Darn.
More people for the store, Jack. There's always more people for the store.
We need people at the store.
There will not be 900 PAs because 900 people applied to be PAs. And there will not be 850 security people because we
Dear
don't need that
Lord.
many security people. So the preferences, when we include the preferences on the application, it's to tell us what you would love to do and give us your reason why. So rather than just saying, I mean, we do of course ask why do you want to be a guardian, what would make you a great guardian, but this kind of delves deeper. This gives us another layer of this is why you want me and need me, and here's why. And we believe that we were very clear that these were just preferences and this was just for a general idea.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of people want to be PAs, and I don't think our team needs 900 PAs. I'm just saying. I mean, just saying. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. Are you kidding? I think that's awesome. But we don't need 850 ex-pro bouncers, and we don't need 900 PAs. We really don't.
Well,
So-
Joel might need 10.
Well, Joel needs a couple extras, but
That man's easy. He's so easy. Whatever, guys.
I'd actually be really interested to see a pie chart of the division of how many people picked, what for their first pick and how many people picked what for their second pick.
And they give it to
Pretty
James
anonymous.
for
Yeah.
give it to James for an Ask an Economist post. So
That's not a bad idea. Hey, James. Come and play
People
that.
want to register. Well, I got some bad news for you, son.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was pretty incredible seeing that. But taking that taking that into consideration, talking directly with staff and asking who they would want involved, who they would want to have as PAs, talking to other team leads of past, present, and future, asking who they would want on their teams, and then dividing after that, people going to teams, and then also figuring out, you know, how do you take departments and divide it by, take that number and divide it into 500. I mean, it's kind of, there's a lot of math involved, guys. God.
Math is
Math is hard.
Math makes my thinker box hurt.
Math is the thinker box killer. So yeah, there's sometimes when you look at the sheet, you're like, you know what? Roll the die. You go here, but we want to make sure that we're putting people in places where we know they'll succeed, or we believe where they will succeed, and places that they want to be. It sucks having to put people in places that they didn't ask for, but that is, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. You signed up to work, and this is where we need you.
Well, you even say in the application that these are not guaranteed. So
right, and well, we also told what days were required to work, and that is my number one question right now. So not everybody is reading that stuff. So
you want to nip that in the bud right here live for us?
What was that?
You want to just address that live and in an angry voice preferably right here on our podcast?
I think that is good. Here, hold on a second. I'm bringing it up right now. That way I don't get I get the days always correct, but I always mix up my numbers. So, if you are a guardian, you are required, get a pen and paper and write this down. You are required to work, whether you are full-time or part-time, Thursday, August 6th, Friday, August 7th, Saturday, August 8th, and Sunday, August 9th. That is August 6th through August 9th. Okay? We don't know about Wednesday yet, August 5th. We might meet some people. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. We might meet people on Monday. We don't know yet. Don't sweat it. If you are talking about your travel plans and you want to ask us what we believe your travel plans should be, I don't know your finances, first of all. So you gotta kind of make an adult decision there. But we will meet Thursday morning, and we will stay till close on Sunday, which usually is about 9 o'clock. Now, granted, I know some people have to leave because in order to get the time off for RTX, they have to be at work on Monday. That's fine. Don't sweat it. Talk to me. It's all good. But in general, come in sometime Wednesday or really early Thursday and expect not to leave until late Sunday or Monday. Are we good?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
Crystal.
Right. Let's see if we got a couple questions in the chat.
Marcy brought up something that we actually talked about before, and I talked to Mary about having like an emergency line to you and Chris, but also just like maybe a group me to other guardians or other attendees about like I guess problems in each kind of group. I did look up the apps that were available for both Android and Apple phones.
But one second, Mary, you do give us your number at the beginning of the our guardianship at RTX, so we should all have your number.
There is a Guardian handbook, and we're having that again. Julia Mitchell, who is who works with Freeman, actually made it for us last year, and it had all of the numbers, all of the important numbers. So my number, Chris's number, had a blank page so you can write down your team lead's numbers, which you should have already had, the emergency number and the emergency procedures. So we plan on having the same thing again this year. As far as group communication, we are still doing Guardian Wire this year. As far as GroupMe and stuff like that are concerned, we're probably going to do what we did last year. And every every team can utilize GroupMe if they so wish. Chris and I have our phones on us at all times. And I am kind of distraught to say that my phone did not go off very often last year. And then I got emails 2 weeks later saying, so these things happened and I didn't either A, want to bother you, or B, I didn't know how to get a hold of you.
Oh, that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With having a radio in hand and a cell phone, with the exception of maybe on a flying rig and actually hovering above the convention center itself, I don't know how else to make myself more
Accessible.
accessible. But as far as communicating between teams, there might be GroupMe involved, Guardian Wire will always be involved, and we will have more radios this year. As far as the actual honest-to-God written word of what we are going to do, we don't have that for you yet. That is still kind of in the working as to all the precise information for that. But generally, we're going to do exactly what we did last year.
Very cool.
Only with more walkie-talkies and me being incredibly loud and obnoxious about reminding people how to get a hold of Chris and I.
But I just wanted to answer Marcy's question. She was just bringing up that we talked about like having a line of I guess animosity about between Guardians about some issues because some people don't like to talk about it during it and they'll bring it up afterwards, which is great. But having it then and there is a little bit more helpful. I did look into apps for both Android and Apple phones, and I did find it's called like Mustache Private Texting, and it's literally an app that's free for both sides. And all you do is just put in a person's number, and then it sends it anonymously to that person's phone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that to anybody's phone number. You can do that to Mary's. You can do that to Chris's.
Sign up for things like BB.
This is something that I would like to have more information on.
We'll talk. Our people will call your people.
Chazzy, you bring up a really good point because it was kind of, aside from the I didn't want to bother you or I didn't know how to get a hold of you, that's something completely different. But there were things that had happened that people were like, I had an uncomfortable encounter, and I'm telling you about it now 6 months later. And there's half of your reaction inside in your little brain is, why didn't you tell me at the time because I could have fixed it? The other half is like, wait a minute, you know what? This was a bad situation, and it was a freak-out situation, and maybe it was a situation where you needed to calm down and reflect, and then, gather up the thought process to be able to actually tell somebody in charge. And I completely get that. So, yeah, we'll figure something out. I mean, yeah, we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, I'll talk. I'll give you information afterwards.
Yeah. But Chris and I want you guys to know that if you feel uncomfortable for any reason, or something doesn't look safe, or you don't feel safe, first of all, we never want you to feel that way, or our goal is to not have that happen. That's a better way of putting it. But if you feel that way, we want you to know that you can come to us whenever.
That's part of the reason that we're there.
It's our job.
It is. That's our job. One of the things that we will go over when we do the orientation with everybody is we're going to go over expectations of Guardians at large and expectations of Mary and I. One of the expectations for Mary and I is that it's our responsibility to keep our Guardian teams out of situations where they are put in what they think is an unsafe circumstance or things that they're uncomfortable with. So we prefer to find out about those things right away because it increases our opportunity to do something about it.
Right.
I am totally sensitive that some people don't want to raise it at the time, and I respect that. But my request/recommendation is if you find yourself in that kind of circumstance, please do bring it to our attention as soon as possible because that increases the likelihood that we can either fix it or mitigate it even if we aren't able to address it for you, if you tell us on the day it happens, we can prevent somebody else from being in the same situation the next day. So it may be that you're helping out a fellow guardian or another attendee by raising it. So it's not. There's not a requirement. I'm not going to over push on it, but I would encourage you to raise it because that gives us the best chance to do something about it.
Yeah, and it's also basic principles of leadership. You as a leader, you feel responsible for every person that's below you, or a good leader does anyway. And I'm sure you two do as well. So the best way for you two to be put at ease is for us to communicate up to you, our needs, our wants, our problems, our questions, our queries, that kind of thing.
Couldn't have said that better, Red.
I'm waking up now.
I was going to say, plus one ditto.
Lori mentioned something on here. It says maybe we could have Twitter that is like Guardian's Safe Room, where people could DM any issues to that account, and only the head guardians / staff have access if they are worried about talking to someone directly.
Yeah, again, I would like to gather that information in private so Chris and I can kind of jam on that. Because it is dealing with something delicate, but we also want to look at the logistics of making it happen. So if you've got, feel free to PM me on RT, because I would love to look at your guys' ideas and see what else we can implement for this.
Yeah, she's not kidding.
We don't want to bully anybody who has come across a situation that is incredibly uncomfortable. We don't want to bully them into, well, tell me.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
Right.
But there are a couple of different ways we can do it. And I hate to be like this, but rather than trying just to discuss it on the fly on the podcast, and then accidentally sound like we're making promises or we're confirming something, I would rather look into that privately so Chris and I can discuss it, and then we can also discuss it with team leads. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That was not a fancy way of saying shut up. I swear. No, but it's just to make sure that we don't accidentally make any promises that we've forgotten or can't keep. Definitely PM me on Rooster Teeth, because I check it more often than Chris does, and anytime it gets to me, it gets to him right away. PM me with those ideas, and we'll see what we can jam with.
Yeah, she's not kidding about that either, guys. I sent a message to her, and I was expecting a response like in a couple of days. She responded within I think it was about 10 minutes. It took you to reply, something like that.
If I'm not out taking a walk, I'm usually home. I'm usually in front of my computer in my pajamas, hitting refresh or playing Minecraft. So, yeah. I try to answer emails and RT messages as soon as possible. If for some reason I have lost you in the fold, hit me up again. Just don't worry about it. That's also a nice lead into my friendly reminder. Please do not lead in and lead out of your email or message to me with, sorry to bother you. You're not bothering me. I swear
Sorry.
you're not bothering me. Please.
I didn't know that bothered you.
No, that's seriously. That's another one that I'll have James do a graph on, is how people are like, I'm so sorry to bother you, I know you're busy. Honey, just don't worry about it. It's, again, that's our job. Our job is to get those emails and those messages. So please, email or message us on RT with your questions, your concerns. It's important that you do that, but please don't make it sound like you are wasting our time, because you're really not. You're really, really not.
No.
It's okay. We are not on Marvel Pillars yet, guys. We're still down at the mortal level. I promise.
take it from someone who's worked for a lot of different types of people. In the Venn diagram of, leadership people and people who are imminently approachable, you guys are a shining beacon, like right in the middle.
Hey! That makes me want to cry. That is so awesome.
That was an awesome compliment, and it was math. That was amazing.
What? What is that not?
No. I've got some iced tea in me now. Sugar wakes me up.
Yeah, one thing that Mary touched on there, and I just want to reinforce, she really is the best front line of defense for those kind of questions because she does check messaging a lot more often than I do. I know I'm a terrible human being. I'm sorry. I only look at the site like once a week because
you're the
works
muscle.
for a living. So
Hey, someone's got to pay the mortgage, and that's
exactly. But one of the things that's awesome about having a married couple that knows how to communicate, being co-running this team, is that we know how to communicate. And so questions that come to her, they come to me as well.
Yeah.
We talk about the stuff. I shit you not, every day we're talking about RTX.
I don't think they're. Yeah, I think even if we are just driving to
The grocery store.
It just RTX comes up, something sparks, and we talk about RTX. And RTX is something that is always will always have a presence in this household.
Okay. We got another question.
I want to address a couple of the things in the question column here real quickly. There's some question here about specific policies. I believe it's safe to say that we're still a little far out to be announcing specific policies. That type of thing will come closer to the day. Is that a fair thing?
I see my evil twin, eating fried rice. Hey, by the way, so we were talking about approachability real quick. Shout out to Jen, who goes by Low Zelda on RT, and Jackie, who goes by Chris with a K, K-R-I-S-S, and Mr. Arcees, Daniel. They are freaking on it. You guys are goddamn rock stars. If I am in the middle of typing a response to a question that is on the frequently asked questions or anything like that, they are on it. They already telecommunicated it from their brain, boom, and it's amazing. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys to the Guardian podcast for keeping the information going. I really, really appreciate that. But yeah, it is too early right now to talk about protocol and procedure, only because we need to get in contact. We need to do our part, where we get in contact with the convention center and say what policies have changed this year, and then we also have to get down and dirty with our team leads and registration/info and ask, all right, so let's talk about the procedure that'll be better this year for missing persons. We're very lucky that our show, knock on wood, most of the missing persons are, with the exception of a couple little kids, it's usually, I can't find my son and he's looking for an achievement hunter or something. They're not losing a 5-year-old at a Comic-Con. So I mean, it's still an emergency. It's still just as important, but the tone of it is a little more subdued. So yeah,
we're very chill people.
Yeah, we are working on that right now. So.
Okay. Mark has a question. It says, if there's a chain of command with the Guardians, is it okay to bypass the chain of command and talk to Chris, Mary, or someone similar? Well, you can always text Mary about a problem, but
so that's kind of a touchy question.
Guardian, but it depends on the question, though.
Can the soldier answer that?
That's kind of a touchy question. In general terms, okay, my knee-jerk reaction is to say, in general terms, no, it's not appropriate to bypass the chain of command. Now, taking a moment to think about it, there are absolutely cases where that's going to be okay. there are going to be personality conflicts between Guardians and their team leads, and if a Guardian is having a legit problem with their team lead, I want to know about it. That's a case where you need to bypass chain of command because you need to raise that to me. That's an HR thing.
Yeah.
It's really kind of just like, unless if it's literally like, fire drill level of severity.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I've done it. There was an issue, and my team lead was not imminently available, but I believe it was you, Chris. You were right there, and I brought it up to you, and we solved the problem on the spot. But in theory, the chain of command exists for a reason.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in a case of the example that you just put forth, that's okay. I mean, it's like my team lead is off fighting a fire somewhere, and I have my own little fire going on here. If you're like, I have to grab, that's totally cool. But yeah, in a case of I don't know how to do this particular part of my job, then you want to talk to your team lead.
Yeah.
The one thing that it should never escalate to is you should never pull Gus or Barbara aside and start talking to them.
Yeah, that is not okay.
Please, that's a no-no.
That is not okay.
That is not okay because they're running the convention at a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's so hard to say this out loud because it was such a genuine compliment and thrill to have Matt and Bernie introduce Chris and I to some business associates as the people who run RTX. We run RTX during the show. I mean, we're not running it right now. There are things going on that we have no say in or no idea. But during the show, we're the ones running the show. So you don't go to Barbara and say, I have a problem with line management. Or you don't go to Gus and say, so panels are this. You don't do that.
Yeah. Ask your team leader for that question.
What they're going to do is they're going to say, did you talk to your team lead or did you talk to Mary and Chris? Even folks who have been emailing Barbara about certain Guardian questions, she's just been sending them to me. Because it's a Guardian thing, you've got to talk to Chris and I.
Seriously, they've been sending questions straight to Barbara on this?
No,
look at it.
Barbara, she's a busy girl. I mean, not only is she the community manager, she's the co-director of this event, she's a face, she's a voice. She is a physical representation of the company, so she's got an awful lot on her plate. Not to say that she can't handle it, she totally can. But if it's a Guardian thing, it's going to be sent to us. So just send it to us. It's one less stack of things that she has to go through on her email. And because I don't work for RT, I'm checking my email every day. I'm checking the Guardian group every day, regardless of whether it's a weekend or not. Yeah. So it'll be easier to get a hold of me and Chris and get that answer. So just bypass that, come to us.
Yeah,
but
look at it.
During the show or during the planning phase where you are assigned and you have your team lead, talk to your team lead.
Look at it this way. RTX is like somebody kicked over 6 or 7 anthills in the exact same spot, and Gus and Barbara are trying to keep that kind of put together. If we can take one of those anthills away, then we've done our job.
When you said RTX was like a bunch of anthills getting kicked over, all I can think of is itchy. Oh, shit over me.
I was going for busy, but that works too. Please, everyone, for the love of God, shower.
One of the things that we really focus on when we select team leads is selecting people that have experience in the area that they're responsible for and have leadership skills. So we really want them to be that first point of escalation if something comes up that you can't address. That being said, Mary and I both try to make rounds throughout the show at various times throughout the day, and one of the goals of those rounds is to be visible so that if someone has an issue and hasn't been able to communicate it to their team lead, or it just literally came up or something, we are there to facilitate issues like that. So if something comes up and you see us, it's certainly not inappropriate to raise it to us right away. probably the first thing I'm going to ask is, have you notified your team lead yet? But that's not me berating you for talking to me about it. That's because I want all the team leads to be involved and aware of all the things that are going on that are under their umbrella of responsibility.
It's also a piece of information we need to go forward to solve that problem, that issue.
Yeah.
No,
Mark.
There should be no actual fires.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully.
Hopefully not.
That's a key word.
Should be the
We try not
operative.
to use the word fire to refer to issue, but it's a vernacular in a lot of different languages. I mean, it kind of slips out sometimes. We try not to use it when we think about it.
It's okay. And Chris, you can agree or disagree with this. I'm okay if you look at me and say, "So I got kind of a small fire issue." If you're face to face with me and you use the F word, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. If you use the F word over the walkie-talkie, we have a problem.
Yeah, that's not okay.
I'm not gonna hear I have an issue. I'm gonna just hear the word fire and be like, "Oh God, we gotta do this again." Alright, everybody get the hell out of the convention center, let's go.
Radio procedure is very important. Speak literally, not figuratively.
Downloadable content is gonna write us up a handy dandy walkie-talkie etiquette sheet. It's gonna be easy for everyone to follow. It's not gonna be all military jargon, so civilians don't worry about it. It's going to be cool. It's going to be really easy to follow, so that way we're all on the same page. And that'll come to us. That'll come to us closer to the event, but we'll have it on the site. We'll have it available for downloading and printing and stuffing in your pocket, and we will talk about it in various orientations. So.
Yeah, fire bad, beer good. Well, beer while you're not on duty.
Yeah.
I like that. Just remember, guys, fire bad. So bad, don't talk about it. Fire bad.
Yes, Frank, we know. Fire bad.
What's great is that this is my last name, so you say, "That's right, Frank," and I'm like, "Uh-huh, mm-hmm."
For new Guardians, what should they expect to do on their first day? As in Thursday?
That's a great question. All I know is that it's pre-reg. That's all we have planned so far because we're still 90 days out. So pre-reg is usually, that's when people are coming in to pick up their swag bags. So even though we are mailing out badges, there will be, excuse me, we will still have people come in and get their badges scanned so they can get their swag bag. There will be our international attendees who need to pick up their badges. And yes, I'm sorry, Canada still counts as international, guys.
Yes.
I know the world is bigger than the United States of America. But even
talking about, eh? We're like your magic hat. Send us your passes, eh?
As far as Hawaii and Alaska are concerned, I don't know. I'm just assuming that since they are not international, you guys are still getting your stuff sent to you. I will try and get confirmation about that. But anyway, so even though badges are getting mailed to U.S. citizens, they are not being mailed out internationally. International folks have to pick them up. So we need to be there for that. We need to be in there for loading, to greet exhibitors, to get a layout of the land. That's when we do a lot of our orientations. But as far as an actual boom, boom, boom schedule, we don't have that yet. So.
Okay. Can you tell us just definitely, I know it's probably said it like 5 times before, how are Guardians getting their badges?
You have to come in and pick up the badge. We will not send Guardians badges. As far as I know, and as far as I've been told as of like a month ago, we are not sending out Guardian badges. That would be a bad idea.
I will resist any recommendation to mail Guardian badges out.
Yeah, it just makes
you vehemently against that.
So Guardians, what we would like you to do, and this could change, but make sure you have your ID handy. and then we're going to look at your ID, and then we're going to give you
I
your
will
verdict
have my
after your
cue.
turn. So,
Jackie says, can you talk about definite no-nos while working on walking as a guardian?
well,
As a guardian.
Chris, you want to cover some no-nos, or do you want me to start?
Just
I got
rapid
a
fire.
whole
Give us
laundry
your top
list,
10.
guys.
Oh.
Yeah, rapid fire.
Yeah. Working as a guardian is not your invitation to pitch a script idea to an RT staff member.
No matter how good it is.
Exactly. We are not content creators. When we're at the event, we are there to facilitate the event, to make it run smoothly. We are not there to try to be Jeff or Gavin or Ray and get noticed. It's not a cattle call audition.
Notice me, senpai.
Do not act like a fanboy while as a guardian. Because again, our job is to facilitate the functioning of the event.
The you are not the content makers also brings up the attitude of a guardian. I know that Rooster Teeth is all about the dick and fart jokes and drunken humor, but they are a professional company, and when you see them in action when they are dealing with business, they are incredibly professional. And we have to be that professional. I know that after getting 500 people yelling at you because one person might have cut in line, I know it might be easy to answer sarcastically or whatever. We need to keep that in check. We need to be the shining beacons of awesomeness and focus more on that than being hilariously sarcastic.
Yeah.
There are a few moments caught on tape that I thought were hilarious and warranted at the time, but you gotta keep in mind that, yeah, some of these people are righteously indignant about having to wait in line and whatnot. You just have to be the calm in the center of the storm. You gotta keep a smile on your face, and you have to say, I get it, but this is how we have to do it, you know? You gotta tone the sarcasm and the sourness down, even if you think it's funny.
Leave the sass at home.
Exactly. Leave the sass at home.
Trust me, swallowing that sarcasm pill is the hardest thing I have ever done, but it's worth it.
It's not easy for some people, and we get that, because there are some work environments where you can be funny and sarcastic and stuff like that. But in a case like this, when you got 20,000 people going, let us in, you don't really have the time or the right to do a Charlie Chaplin, check your watch and be sassy. This isn't your show. You're here to help the show run.
And you know,
but you're not the star.
one reason, I'm going to draw a parallel here. One of the reasons that we feel pretty strongly about this topic, we talked just a few minutes ago about Barbara and Gus. They have all these anthills that they're dealing with that comprise the show. If the Guardians are perceived as being snarky to attendees, we just became another anthill for them to deal with, because now attendees are complaining about us, and those complaints go to Barb and Gus, or whatever other staff member a person can find.
Also, yeah, we're all friends and we're one big happy family, and I'm not saying that sarcastically either. That is, a lot of us hold that very, very true, and not just within the RT community, but within the Guardian. We are a family within a bigger family. We cannot, maybe the attendees might get away with this, but Guardians do not get away with going up to Gus and saying, haha, you're the angry one. Oh, Gus, are you angry? Hey, Jeff, are you drunk? You're the drunk one. Hey, Jeff. No, you do not. I'm not saying that don't look the talent directly in the eyes, guys. What I'm saying is our interaction with staff, crew, and any of the guests that they bring in has to be just as professional and just as awesome as what we're going to hold towards the attendees.
Just treat them with respect. They're people, just like
Yeah.
us.
Because you know what's worse? You know what's worse than treating an attendee with sarcasm and backhandedness? Is doing that to an RT staff member.
Behavior like that will not get you invited back.
You will not get invited back, and you know what? You get on the bad side of an employee of one of the rising stars of entertainment, of the company that is one of the rising stars of entertainment, you might get blacklisted at other conventions.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy and or girl.
Let's put it this way. We've spent the last couple of years building up an incredible amount of street cred with the exhibitors, with most of the attendees, with the staff. You don't want to
The
be
fire
the guy
department.
that fucks that up.
Right.
We've worked hard.
And we all work hard, and it's not just I want you to be accountable for you. I want us all to be accountable for each other. How is this going to make my group look? How is this going to make my team look? How is this going to make Guardians look? How is this going to make RT community look? And how is this going to make RT/AH/RTX look? It's a pretty heavy situation. But believe it or not, the answer is not that difficult. You want to do what's best. Not cosmically, but you want to do what's best in that situation. And usually what's best in that situation is be a cool dude. You know? If it's something that is, you're like, I don't know how to deal with this. There's something going on that is just, and it happens to us all. Something happens, you're like, I don't know how to deal with this. That's when you escalate it to your team lead or their lieutenants. And if they're not around, grab Chris or I. Look for the loud, chubby one, or look for the tall one with the bandana. Grab us, and we'll find a solution together. But don't panic. Don't be rude. Keep together.
There's a couple of nice little taglines to this in the Q&A right now. Mark says, encourage that excited nature in the fans and embrace it. Channel the passion and focus it into being the best experience for convention goers, which is exactly the kind of message that we're trying to send as volunteers.
Ride that wave. Ride that wave. I mean, we are all here because we love some aspect of Rooster Teeth. You know, we're all fans. All the Guardians are fans. I mean, there are so many wonderful reasons why we pick from the community and from very, very close pools. We don't open this application to the public because we want to bring fans in. We want to bring people who will work well together in. You know, so if you're like, my God, you know, all 5,000 of these people are yelling for Ray and he doesn't work for the company anymore. You know what? It's okay. Take that enthusiasm and be like, dude, this is great. Look at all the love that's going on. And continue to do your job.
And then Jackie added to it saying, adding to that, Guardians should take the RTX experience away from attendees, i.e., cutting and signing lines to chat with the staff, etc.
Yeah, that goes right with the this is not your time. This is not your time to pitch.
If you shouldn't be there, don't be there.
This is not your time to roll out a poster or a portfolio. It's not. I know that you would love to have some FaceTime with Barbara or Lindsay or Miles, or, you know, insert 120 names here, but unfortunately that's not what you signed up for. What you signed up for is for the 100 people in line to meet and chat with Miles or to meet and chat with Bernie. That is what you signed up for. And this is gonna sound mean, but I mean it from a really good place. If your goal is to talk to Bernie or Matt or Joel or Jack or whoever, that is your goal. That is your goal, is to pitch, or your goal is to one day work for RT. Bow out of Guardians. Go and enjoy the convention as an attendee. Give yourself that chance, because you're not going to have that chance as a Guardian. We don't have the time. We're here to make sure all the other folks get that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question regarding just like the cutting in lines and the Guardians. If the Guardian like has let's say for an instance, I know some people have had instances where like a fan literally could not get in, or like their mom comes over and they're like, my son couldn't ever get a chance to get Burned to sign this, and can you give him? He's like at the signing. Can you give him to have them sign it real quick? Like, what do you do in that situation?
Thank you to Brent for bringing up my nightmare.
Well,
That's a tough one.
that is a tough one because things are changing this year.
What I'm going to say in general is a situation like that has to be an individual judgment call. There isn't really a blanket answer to that question. In general, we want to avoid those situations because giving special treatment to one person just engenders the idea of other people wanting that same special treatment. And, it would be fantastic if we could give that individual attention for every single person there. That's not an option.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Another thing to go sort of along with this, just as a small piece of advice, something I picked up in the military, make no promises, and people will have no expectations.
yeah, that's very well said.
It's true.
It's very true. We want people to be happy, but making one person happy and inconveniencing 500 people doesn't usually feel good. Doesn't usually make you any closer towards that goal. But we'll have more about that later as we get more of the layout of the show and more of the departments figured out. Because there are aspects of RTX last year that will be completely different this year.
Mm-hmm.
And will make questions like that much easier to answer.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The phrase, let me see what I can do,
Let me
is
see what I can
probably
do.
your most powerful ally.
It's an amazing thing. Even if you're like, look, I know the answer is a flat out bona fide holy shit no. You know that. But if you tell somebody, look, I will see what I can do with a great amount of confidence, that is usually all they wanted to hear. And it also shows that you are on their side. Look, I'm a guardian, but I'm not really here to power trip. I really am here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to help their experience and at least show that you're making an effort to help them have a decent experience.
Exactly. And it's
Speaking firsthand too, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. I see something that Marcy wrote, and this is really something to bring up, because we were talking to Barbara about this before Barbara went off to Australia. Marcy says, last year Bernie wanted to be with fans as much as possible, even if it was to be late to panels. Sometimes you have to let the staff members do what they want to do, whether you're PA, security, or whatever. The employees are there to enjoy the con as well. Obviously within safety. But these guys aren't as reckless as they look like they are in the office. Mm-hmm. But that's also very important to point out is these guys are running the goddamn event too. I mean, they spend 365 days planning this. So they are the employees of the company that run the show. They help run the show by providing content during the show and for the show. And then they are also the celebrities. They are this bizarre triple whammy threat. And if Bernie wants to walk around the hallway, and not Marcy, this isn't saying that you ever did this. I know you never did this. I'm just using Bernie as an example. If you're Bernie's PA and Bernie wants to say, I want to go walk the hall, or I want to go work the exhibition hall, what should never ever go through your mind is, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. Tough. You're going to do what Bernie wants to do. And Bernie's going to do it within the confines of safety and logic. It's not like he's going to go running through in his underwear yelling at people. It's going to be easy to take care of. There are going to be a lot of people, but you know what? That's not unmanageable. That's not impossible. we want these guys to have a good time too. It's really something to go and see them, or to go and get emails from them like a couple of days after the event and say, wow, that was amazing. I mean, yeah, we're all dog tired and we're all sick and exhausted, but to have a staff member say, that was so much fun, that's super, super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Jackie has a question. It says, for new guardians, can you explain the sanctuary that is the G spot?
The G spot is a mystery.
I get this
No
one.
one knows.
No, I get this one. First of all, to anyone who tells you that the G spot is a mystery or is difficult to find, all I'm going to say, and yeah, Red, I'm throwing you right under the bus here. Anyone with that line just isn't trying hard enough.
It's late, all right? If you
I also have to say that the person who runs the G spot every year is a dude. Just saying. Just saying.
The G spot will be marked on the map for everyone who needs that. For those of you who want to admit that you need that, or for those of you who don't want to admit that you need that, I will confess I've never needed a map.
It's been in the same spot every time, hasn't it?
Exactly. I mean, you get there once.
It doesn't move.
You get there once, you know how to get back, or at least you should know how to get back. Okay, being more serious.
trying.
So being more serious, all the volunteer teams that I've worked on, one of the tenets that we have is that we have a room that's kind of a safe space. We have the potential to drop off a bag there or a coat. It's a place that we can go. We have our break space. A couple years ago, when we implemented that for RTX, it was going to be known as Guardian HQ until we showed up on site, and then we're talking about the room, and it occurred to me that for PAX, the room is the PAX team is known as Enforcers, and that room is known as E-Land. I said, okay, wait a second. They're just taking the first letter of their team and running with it. Well, so Guardians G spot, and I blurted it out loud, and there was a unanimous decision right there. Done. That is how the room will forever be known.
Sorry, Mary, we had to mute you for a second.
So it's basically safe space, break room. Like I said, if we bring in a bag or something, you can drop it off there. We try to have some snacks available in there. So, but I want to say, the snacks are not meant to be a meal replacement. They're just meant to help you get between meals. So please do not assume that you're going to be able to live on granola bars for all day. But we'll get into that more when we go into orientations.
Trust me, you don't want to.
Yeah.
There's always water in there, though, like water bottles.
I make it a very personal point to make sure that we always have water available there. However, again, when we get to orientation details, there will be specific details about water bottles and how to treat them.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Mary, we had to
Mary,
mute you.
we had to mute you for a second. Unmute yourself. There you go.
I was going to say, yeah. I took a picture of the G spot after one day, just at closing.
And very
Gotta have a
wet.
poster made. Gotta have a poster made. The caption's gonna say, "We're not your mother." Anyway, that's another story for another time.
Well, we'll touch on that a bit later. A question down here from Marcy. What about the bag drive? Are we gonna have a bag drive this year?
Oh, the swag bags?
Yeah.
We assume so, but it's too early to tell right now.
Cool.
I'm sure there will be, but I don't. We'll find that out from the people in charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it too early to I guess if maybe there's enough water bottles for panel rooms for panelists? Because I know they usually get through the water bottles pretty quickly through.
So we don't have the information as to how many panel rooms we have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a little too early for that. But they're taking that more and more into consideration in every year.
What I'm going to say to that is it's my responsibility to make sure that my Guardian team has water.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's responsibility to make sure the panelists have water.
That would be panel guardians.
Potentially.
Potentially, but I mean, it's one of those things where who is in charge of purchasing those water bottles and supplying those water bottles and whatnot? There's a weirder chain of command. We know where we stand and who we're going to take care of. The rest of that information we'll figure out later.
Time to email Dan Arceus at gmail.com. I'm just kidding.
We're jumping the gun. Actually, no. So.
Just email Caden at achievementhunter.com.
All right.
If you'd like to speak to Matt Holland, his address is caleb@achievementhunter.com. Ask for Gus. Thank you.
And there's the man himself. All right, so we're getting down to brass tacks here. We got a couple of minutes left, and we've already extended for a bit. So I want to get to this one question down here. This last question should eat up the last about 10 minutes or so. Mary and Chris, how do y'all do it?
Gotta have that y'all.
How do y'all do it?
Yeah, that's the colloquial term, isn't it?
Well, there's a little bit of Kree DNA involved.
Really straight to the Kree?
Well, you know, I'm going the whole Tahiti protocol.
That's the
It's a magical place.
I'm sorry. I'd like to comment. As soon as we start talking about Dan, he pops in the chat.
He knew.
That's like, speak of him and he appears.
Yeah.
That's his MO.
His ears are burning.
God damn.
Dan, buy me water. Buy me water.
Love it.
It's a combination of passion and experience. I mean, Mary and I started working conventions together in our first year of marriage.
Yeah.
And it was a case. Mary had been going to anime conventions before I knew her, before we were together as a couple, and we started going to them together because I was like, hey, I want to see what this is like, and I'm like, enjoy the things you enjoy. So we started doing them, and what I quickly found out is that I get much more enjoyment out of being involved and helping out at the events than I do actually just going to them. We volunteered for one and was like, oh, hey, wow, this is a lot more interesting, and so we just started, all the ones that we had been going to, we started volunteering for instead, and I found out that I liked it a lot more. Doing a couple of them, we just, you pick up on a lot of tricks just being involved, and it kind of snowballs from there. I mean, next thing we knew, we were volunteering for 5 events a year, and every time we'd learn a new skill or we'd pick up some new thing, and it would just make us better for the next event. And yeah, it's just been this magical kind of combination of passion and experience.
I can show you the world.
You're muted again, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I muted you again.
Well, I tried to mute myself and then it said I was already muted and then I forgot that I was muted. So it helped that Chris and I, it was even in our wedding vows, he and I make a really, really good team. He and I have had different experiences that we have learned from ourselves and that we can share with each other. We are different kinds of thinkers. We both have different kinds of organizational skills. I like to joke and say I have a complete lack thereof. But we have different skill sets, and they just happen to really come together really, really well. So right there, we have great partners in crime. We have been able to learn from tons of other people that we know and trust, and who know and trust us. And like Chris said, we've been able to observe and work other events and see what works for one convention might not work for another, but might work for a third, or how can we take this and completely evolve it into something that will work for event A through B. I don't really. I've had people ask me, how do you get involved with stuff like this? How do you make a career out of it? I wouldn't know how to make a career out of it because we're not getting that kind of compensation for this. Volunteer coordinators are usually, they still have that volunteer title in there. So it's just, if you are willing to give your time and your effort and your energy, go and volunteer at an event and learn that way. I mean, we have a lot of new Guardians coming in this year, and some of them have expressed their fears about being new. Like, what if I don't do a good job? And I'm like, there is no way you can purposefully do a bad job.
Everyone's new sometime.
There really isn't a way that you could purposefully be a bad volunteer. As long as you keep your ears and eyes open, as long as you follow directions, and you learn from those things, you're going to be awesome. As far as physically doing it, I don't really know. I talk to my feet because they freaking beat me. And you would think with all the running around, you would think that I would be just a little thinner. But, whatever. Whatever. Metabolisms are crazy, yo. So yeah, we do it by surrounding ourselves with really good people, by learning from people, and from choosing great teams. So don't make a liar out of me and be a great team.
Yeah, and Dan adds in as well. Don't be afraid to volunteer for small events too. Dan volunteered for a small convention a few weeks ago that I picked up from that he picked some ideas up from. So
when people ask, hey, what kind of, I've never worked a convention before, I ask them a bunch of little questions like, have you ever worked with children? Do you work in customer service? Have you done house crew for a theater? I mean, anything like that. It's amazing what volunteering your time even to a group of kids, like 10 kids, like how valuable that experience is. I mean, it's little or large. It really doesn't matter how big or small that event is. It's what you learn from it. I get a lot of emails from folks who are like, who will drop numbers on me and say, I've worked events that have this many people or this many people, and I'm like, that's great, but what did you learn? Capacity doesn't mean crap. It's experience. I need to know experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we have like the last 3 minutes, I suppose. Do you want to go to, I guess, like just kind of go around and just like, I guess, one word that would kind of sum up what you think your experience would be for this RTX? Start with you.
First.
Epic. Oh gosh.
Ew. I didn't even know what that was. It just sounded like a verb.
Toe talker, Canada.
My one word is successful.
Nice.
Ever the optimist.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go in with doom and gloom, then you might as well not go.
Exactly.
Right.
Fair
Yeah.
play, Bob.
I think my one word would be unexpected. I always get surprised every time by like something or somebody.
Jack.
I'm going to be simple and say my one word would be fun. Even though we're working our butts off, we should still have a great time.
Okay. Chris.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna go with wow.
Wow.
That was a good word.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Jackie says team. Go
Yeah.
Jackie.
I'd say mine would be memorable, but I feel like that's for every RTX. Like, I'm always leaving with some kind of memory.
Mm-hmm.
Memory is the key.
All right, take us home, Jordan.
Alrighty. Well, unless if there's any last-minute questions that anyone wants to ask, we got literally 1 minute left. We're going to start
Start our
wrap it
little
up.
outro here.
Yep. So, hey, thank you, Chris and Mary, once again for coming on and talking with us
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate the opportunity.
and informing the masses because despite us talking on the forums, people still have questions. So,
Oh, absolutely. And just remember, I want if you all could, if you see somebody who's asking questions outside of the forums or outside of RT, send them to me.
yes.
Send them over. If it's within RT and you think you got the you have a way of answering it, that's fine. Just be conscious that things are changing this year. Last year might be a great example, but it's not the rule. But if you see somebody on Reddit or Tumblr or Facebook asking questions, tell them to come to RT and they come to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there were a couple people, a couple Guardians who were asking questions to the RTX event. Ask us in the forum. That's what it's there for. Like
That's what it's there for. I mean,
yeah.
if you have a Guardian question and you're asking it on Reddit, you're in the wrong place. And I'm starting to question your ability to follow directions. If you're asking stuff in general about RTX and you're on Tumblr or Reddit, not to say that those folks don't have they don't have qualified answers, but come to RT, come to roosterteeth.com and look us up in the forums. We are here to help. We are here to help, and you want to hear it from the community. You really do want to hear it from the community. We're not going to be biased and say, oh my God, this, and this, and all good things. We can definitely tell you about some of the most, some of the difficulties about being an attendee or being a Guardian, absolutely. But come see us. We are bona fide, honest to God. We have the proof that we were there in, our Guardian group icons, and some people put Guardian in their little sponsor tag and stuff like that. We have validation. We can say that we were there. We're not going to sit here and give you this. Well, I have a friend who heard on Facebook that this one guy went and he had a bad time. Not helpful. Come and talk to us.
Absolutely. Go straight to the source.
Exactly.
All right,
We're
ladies and gentlemen.
approachable. We might be goofy looking, but we're totally approachable.
And we serve to aim.
Ooh,
Yes, leader, approachable, right there in the middle.
right there in the middle.
Hey, let's have these questions in just for a little bit of fun.
Dan, no. You must kneel. You must go on your knees. You must kneel around the convention center.
The connotations are there for
None for you.
And then
Mary, are you
Yay.
in Minecraft tonight?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I
You
don't
should
know.
go on the Barry and I server because there's new stuff on there.
Oh yeah, hey guys, seriously, if you're Guardian, look on the Guardian group. There are Guardian Minecraft servers, and they're a lot of fun.
The first one kind of is slow, but there's another one that Barry, myself, and Tom are building right now that has like a ton of mobs and a ton of new stuff. It's got a Minotaur maze. It's got chocobos you can ride.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
We're just trying to get quests and NPCs and stuff. That's it. And building a couple more stuff. It's really sweet. We'll release the IP address soon. Not now, though.
No, but
and then last question. Hey baby, how you doing?
do you want to answer that? 'Cause it was
God damn it, Joey.
If Jackie asked that question, then the only appropriate response is... Oof. Jazzy!
All right.
All right, I think that's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, people in the chat. We love you all. You're all precious. From all of us here at the Guardian Podcast and our bosses, have a week, and we'll see you on the next side of 7 more days, approximately, give or take a few hours.
we love you guys. Go to
Yes. Follow us all at Guardian Podcast. Do it.